Good evening, everyone. Can we please have everybody take a seat so we can start the meeting? Good evening. We'd like to start our meeting tonight. Thank you. Do we have any comments from our attorney for a closed session?
Well, thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. There is nothing to report today.
All right, thank you. Before we start our meeting, I have a statement I would like to read on behalf of the city and the city council. So I want to take a moment to acknowledge the tragic wildfires impacting neighboring cities across Los Angeles County. These wind-driven fires have tragically claimed at least 24 lives, burned over 40,000 acres, and destroyed more than 12,300 structures, devastating entire communities. Our community understands the fear, uncertainty, heartache, and loss of a tragic event like this. And I'd like to pause for a moment of silence to honor the lives lost, the communities impacted, and the first responders working tirelessly to protect lives and property. Thank you, everyone. Tonight, I want to share an update and reassurance that Simi Valley leadership and city staff continue to monitor the situation closely and are working with our community partners to ensure residents and employees have the most accurate and up-to-date information. In addition to the wildfires, our community has been significantly impacted by public safety power shutoffs, PSPS, from Southern California Edison. Last week, approximately 20 of the city's 24 circuits were affected, leaving more than 32,000 customers without power. Edison has the sole authority to make decisions regarding PSPS events. The city of Simi Valley does not control when power is turned off or restored. Despite this, the city has actively advocated for our residents in the past and is continuing to do so now. We continue to push Southern California Edison for quicker power restoration while addressing the frustrations caused by communication gaps and the significant challenges these outages present. Additionally, we are collaborating with the County of Ventura and elected officials to seek long-term improvements. While we do not have direct authority over utility providers, we remain committed to ensuring that our community's concerns are heard. Residents are also encouraged to share their feedback directly by filing concerns with the California Public Utilities Commission at cpuc.ca.gov. I want to take this opportunity to express my deep gratitude to our city staff for their tireless efforts during these difficult times. City staff continue to answer calls from community members and update our website and social media accounts. Disaster preparedness materials, like those available in the back of the room, have been distributed at City Hall, the Senior Center, and the library to ensure our residents have the tools they need during emergencies. Police officers have been ensuring road safety, street crews have been clearing debris and addressing traffic signal outages, and waterworks operators have been working around the clock to maintain critical systems with our generators. Our library and senior center have opened their doors to provide charging stations, Wi-Fi access, and other resources for affected residents. As of today, a red flag warning is in effect, signaling high fire danger across Ventura and Los Angeles counties. Simi Valley is under a particularly dangerous situation, a PDS alert, with strong winds and critical fire weather conditions expected through Wednesday, January 15th. Southern California Edison, or SCE, has implemented power shutoffs to reduce fire risks and continues to share notices and updates. SCE provides these notices and updates, which are available online at sce.com/PSPS. Please note that Edison has opened a temporary customer resource center at the Courtyard Marriott in Simi Valley. It's open for information and resiliency kits through Wednesday at 10 p.m. I want to thank everyone in our community for your patience and resilience as we face these challenges together. Simi Valley remains a strong and united community, and we are committed to providing the support and resources necessary to navigate these difficult times. A couple of side notes is our water department. The City of Simi Valley's Waterworks team maintains water supplies across the city, ensuring storage tanks are filled and fire hydrants are fully operational. This includes regular maintenance of hydrants and valves and ongoing checks to ensure proper water flow for firefighting needs. Our operators are on standby during emergencies, prioritizing fuel for generators and continuous water availability. Our water system is designed to provide reliable water flow for daily use and residential or commercial fires. However, like most local systems, it is not built to supply the exceptionally high volumes of water required for prolonged wildfire suppression on the scale of incidents we've seen in neighboring counties and cities. For additional water supply questions, please feel free to call our Simi Valley Waterworks District Number 8 at 805-583-6469. In regards to our Ventura County Fire Department, they have taken proactive measures to ensure the safety of our community during the ongoing red flag warning. The department is operating at a Plan 2 brush level, which represents the highest level of preparedness and staffing. This includes over 100 additional personnel, effectively doubling staffing levels through Thursday morning. Resources include strike teams, air support, wildland staffing, and additional units positioned in the East County to respond as needed. Residents are reminded to stay informed and prepared during critical fire conditions. You can register for emergency notifications through vcalert.org to receive timely updates and alerts. Thank you all for listening to our comments on this. At this time, we'd like to do our Pledge of Allegiance, and it's kind of appropriate that we have our Chief Daniel Horton here. Would you please come forward and lead us in the flag salute? Put you on the spot, I apologize. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. May we please have roll call?
Councilmember Rhodes?
Here.
Councilmember Lister?
Here.
Councilmember Judge?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Kavanaugh?
Here.
Mayor Thomas is absent this evening.
Thank you. Are there any items for agenda review?
There are not.
Thank you. Seeing, we'll
Madam Mayor Pro Tem, I move that all resolutions and ordinances presented tonight be read in title only and all further reading be waived.
Second?
thank you. Call the vote.
The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Declaration of conflict. If any member of the City Council may have a conflict of interest or any reason why that member must abstain from consideration of any matter on this agenda, he or she should so declare at this time. Seeing none, thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Kavanaugh and members of the City Council, the first item on the agenda is item 1D1, presentation of a certificate of commendation to P.W. Gillibrand Cattle Company. And Senior Center Community Services Manager Kimberly Post is here to present this item, and accepting the certificate is President and CEO of P.W. Gillibrand, Brandon Thiesing.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem Didi Kavanaugh and members of the City Council. This evening, I'm honored to recognize P.W. Gillibrand Cattle Company, a Simi Valley business that has gone above and beyond to support our community. Over the past 2 years, P.W. Gillibrand has demonstrated an extraordinary commitment to the senior participants in our city's nutrition program and senior share programs, going far beyond the typical expectations of a business. Over the past 2 years, we estimate that they have thoughtfully donated approximately $70,000 worth of beef, ham, veal, and steaks. In a time when funding for food programs has been reduced significantly and food prices are increasing, these donations are a welcome surprise for our senior residents. These high-quality, nutritious meats are used in meals for our on-site lunch and Meals on Wheels programs, and distributed in individual packages to seniors in our senior share to supplement food our supplemental food program. The city would like to extend its deepest thanks to P.W. Gillibrand Cattle Company for its kindness and unwavering support, which have made a significant difference in the lives of our community's older adults. It is now my privilege to present this certificate of commendation to Brandon Thiesing, President and Chief Executive Officer of P.W. Gillibrand Cattle Company, in recognition of your company's outstanding dedication to improving the lives of our community members. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. With all the cuts to Meals on Wheels, this makes even more of an impact to our senior community here. So we can't thank you enough. Are you taking a picture, Heidi? Okay, we'll have to take a picture. Okay, so we'd like to really thank you. Would you like to say a few words?
Oh, thank you very much. We're happy to do it. It's good to help the community.
All right, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Okay, now they'll take a picture. Thank you very much.
Mayor Pro Tem Kavanaugh and members of City Council, next on the agenda is item 1D2, presentation of Employee of the Month to Crystal Ryan, and Public Works Director Ram Fuchiwaki is here to present this item.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem Kavanaugh and council members. Let me ask Crystal to come down. And in addition to several other city employees here to congratulate and honor Crystal, Crystal's son, Zarek, is also here and in the back with the camera.
We'll wave to him.
It is my great pleasure to join the City Council in recognizing Crystal Ryan as the January 2025 Employee of the Month. First, I would like to note that Crystal was recently promoted to Counter Services Technician in the Building and Safety section of the Environmental Services Department. So I must add that Stratus owes me an employee. While she worked in Public Works, Crystal was an office specialist too, and she was a dedicated and dependable employee at the Public Services Center. Crystal went above and beyond by consistently volunteering for outreach events and assisting the Environmental Compliance Division. She often worked behind the scenes, handling everything from certified letters to wastewater discharge permits, invoice processing, and setting household hazardous waste appointments. Crystal excelled in critical tasks of obtaining cost estimates and ordering materials for environmental outreach programs, ensuring the environmental compliance runs smoothly for both the city and the businesses we serve. Some of the tasks Crystal handled include updating the environmental compliance webpage and calendar events for all environmental compliance programs such as water conservation, free landfill days, household hazardous waste events, Earth Day events, and Coastal Cleanup Day. She also issued letters and invoicing for wastewater discharge permits and laboratory monitoring results. She responded to phone inquiries, assisted with the public records requests, arranged household hazardous waste appointments, assisted with the employee recognition events, and assisted the employee activity team, and also helping coordinate city employee newsletter articles for Public Works. Crystal has been a valuable member of the Public Works family, and I appreciate this opportunity to join the City Council in congratulating Crystal as Employee of the Month.
I've been told when they steal employees from my department, they say, well, we only steal the best because we don't want them to leave. So you must be the best. So congratulations. Thank you very much. You're welcome. Congratulations. Would you like to say anything?
Thank you all so much. I'm honored to be a part of the employees of Simi Valley. I live here, my children go to school here, and not only are my coworkers my friends, but they're also my family. So thank you for letting this be my home as well, away from home. I appreciate all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Crystal. Congratulations.
If you want to fill out a public comment card, they're right there. I think that's what he was asking for.
Mayor Pro Tem Kavanaugh and members of the City Council, the next item on the agenda is public statements on appointments, special presentations, and informational reports. We have no speakers for this item this evening. Mayor Pro Tem Kavanaugh and members of the City Council, next item on the agenda is item 3A1, appointment of representation of City Council board members, boards, commissions, committees, and consideration of recommendation and changes.
Thank you. Do we have any comments or questions? Oh, sorry. I'm new to this. I have to figure out who's in the queue. Okay. Councilmember Lister is in the queue.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Kavanaugh. My question is, I actually, as I read through it, I liked how our assignments are, but I'll leave it to people to have the discussion. But I wondered if the list should also add the ad hoc committees, which I know of two that have been recently formed that were not listed in that list, and that would have been the Amphitheater Ad Hoc Committee and I believe the Homeless Housing Ad Hoc Committee. Should those also be listed in this list?
Since those are not regular committees, those would typically not be included in this list. This was a question that I talked to the city attorney about as well.
Okay.
And he can provide further information on that. But because what's listed in here are standing committees, those would typically be what would be included here. Ad hoc committees are formed really just for a single purpose and then disbanded. These are the standing committees that the council has identified. Mr. Ford, is there anything that you want to add to that?
No, that's accurate. The ad hoc committees are short-term for a particular purpose, and it shouldn't be long-term, because if we do have them as long-term, they would be transformed into standing committees.
Then I would recommend we use the word standing in this document, because it really just said, and that I understand that completely, that it's temporary, but it listed boards, commissions, and committees. It didn't clarify that it was standing versus ad hoc, et cetera. So maybe we should add that clarification. I don't know, but that's fine if we don't. But that was why I brought up the question, because I didn't see that delineation made.
And that is included in the staff report. It's just not included in the title of the document.
So it sounds like because it's in the staff report, that should be sufficient. Is that okay, Councilmember Lister?
It's fine. It's fine. It's not a problem.
Okay. Councilmember Rhodes.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I read through all the committee assignments. There's only one that has come up, and I asked the mayor about it. The AWA, the Association of Water, we as council have not been able to attend on a regular basis, and I'm hoping that someone has the opportunity to attend that meeting. Fred has not been able to. It happens to fall on the first Thursdays of the month, which interferes with SCAG as well, because those are first Thursdays.
Is it during? I'm sorry for interrupting. Is it during the morning, during the day, or is it at night?
It is during the day, if I remember
It's an
right.
3
afternoon.
p.m.
Oh. I would not be able to. That's the same as EDC Executive Board.
Okay.
So,
If it were an afternoon, my SCAG commitment is just in the morning. That's why I asked.
Let me.
The way that the document reads currently is that it's the first Thursday every other month at 3 p.m.
are you expressing an interest, Councilmember
Well,
Lister?
no, I'm saying if there was I can see the value in someone from our city attending that and would be willing to take that on, but I don't want to.
Councilmember Judge, do you have any interest in that?
I have no interest whatsoever.
And Councilmember Rhodes?
Mike and I both have the same SCAG requirements on that Thursday.
Okay,
so-
and I have EDC. So, Councilmember Lister, how would you like to be our AWA representative?
I would be honored to have that opportunity.
Okay, I think we made a decision.
Okay.
Good. Yay, see how easy that was?
Are there any other comments or concerns on the list? I'm comfortable with the current committees that I sit on and would like to continue. Everyone else is of the same?
Yes, I'm fine with the
right.
current.
Do I have a motion?
I'll move that the committee's selection stay the same with the exception of Councilmember Lister going over to AWA.
Second.
Call for the vote, please.
The motion passes unanimously.
I'd just like to clarify that I don't think the AWA is a worthless organization, but we do have our Cayugas board member who keeps us well informed of all the ongoing things going on at AWA. And he's also a great resource for you to use too on that.
He's fabulous, and that's why I'm very comfortable going there, because I'm sure he'd be a fabulous ally, so that's, thank you.
All right, thank you. City Manager?
Madam City Clerk, do we need to retake that vote? Because it looked like it came across unanimously and Mayor Thomas is absent.
Yes, we will take the vote, retake the vote.
Please retake the vote. Oh, I'm voting as Fred here. Excuse me, I'm there. Yes, please.
Okay.
Sorry.
The motion passes unanimously with Mayor Fred Thomas absent.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Kavanaugh and members of the City Council, the next item on the agenda is public statements. Since there are no public hearings under Agenda Item 5 this evening, Agenda Items 4 and 6 are combined, and the council will hear all public statements under Agenda Item 4. Agenda Item 4 and Agenda Item 6 are the times allotted for public statements on all items other than public hearings, appointments, and informational reports. Speakers will be called on in the order in which their call was submitted to speak for this public statements item 4 for a period of no more than 3 minutes each. Persons addressing the City Council are requested to state their name and community residence for the record. Mayor Pro Tem Kavanaugh, unless you have any comments, we can begin public statements. Thank you. I will call the first 3 speakers: Scott Hansen, Nikki Leon, and Mike Shaw. Yeah.
Simi Valley resident for 61 years. Just wanted to, with all the power outages, I've spoken to Public Works in the past and Simi PD regarding traffic lights that are out. Some places are worse than others, but people in Simi Valley can't drive even when the lights are on. And they bring up a good point that if they put up the temporary stop signs, they get blown over with the high winds, which I agree. I live over off Tierra Rajada, right there at Stargaze, and that's very dark. You know, I can't even see the light when I'm driving down there myself. I know it's there. People come down Tierra Rajada from Moore Park. They run right through it. They run right through at the trailer park. The other night I went by there and there was these flashing red lights on the ground, which are some emergency light flares. They're an electronic device. It's like 5 inches by 5 inches, inch thick. They're battery operated. And you could definitely see it when you're coming down the street. So that might be something that might be implemented during all these normal power outages that we seem to have. So if you guys might consider that, that might be something of value. Real quick, I was here a couple months ago regarding illegal food vendors, and Councilmember Judge mentioned the decriminalization of it, which it is, but it's still, you guys can still enforce local ordinances and administer an administrative fine regarding that. So just wanted to reiterate that because right now it's not a problem, but it will be a problem in the months to come. One other thing regarding food vendors, we have a couple that are mobile food vendors, and again, it's not a problem now because it doesn't occur during the winter months, but when it gets warmer, they will be out, and they are in violation of the oversized vehicle code, which is implemented for citizens of Simi Valley who have recreational vehicles. They're not allowed to park them in front of their house for an extended time. However, these food vendors seem to be overlooked for some reason. So just wondering why it is this tax-paying citizens of the city have to pay hundreds of dollars a month to store their recreational vehicles, but somebody can come from out of the city and set up a business and not be held to the same parking regulations that the rest of us are. Thank you.
Good evening, council members and Mayor Pro Tem. My name is Nikki Leanne, and I'm representing Body Brain Train tonight. I left the Army at home as we didn't want them to come out in this weather. On behalf of our members and volunteers, I just wanted to say another thank you to City Council and Mayor Thomas for supporting our cause and to help the senior and Parkinson's community here in Simi Valley. Also, a thank you to the Events Grant Committee for volunteering to take their time to read through all of our applications and to be able to figure out how to distribute this grant among the several amazing nonprofits we have in Simi Valley. And thank you, Heidi DiNardo, for being patient with the applicants and keeping us consistently posted on upcoming meetings and events. Our Punchathon fundraiser is coming up in April, and because of this grant, we will once again be able to put on our biggest event of the year and keep our program up and running. So once again, thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Lucy, you're not going to say my name? Good evening, Council, Mayor Pro Tem. Happy New Year to you all. I hope it's a healthy one. And to kick off the new year, I wanted to ask you all just a real simple question of what you're looking forward to most in the coming year. And then on the flip side of that, what are you anticipating or looking most for the council to address, like that last issue? Councilman Rhodes, the last time I was here, you were halfway across the world. Now you're just off to one side. I didn't say that. So I left my book over there, and I was going to talk to you guys again about cycle tourism, ecotourism, but mostly cycle tourism, because we're going to be addressing our bicycle master plan here in the next month or two. On New Year's Eve, I spent New Year's Eve riding down the Arroyo with Glenn Becerra, and Glenn shared with me his tale of getting the Arroyo up and going and the political trials and tribulations, and it was a story with a happy ending. We all love the Arroyo. And he said the original vision was to see it go all the way to the beach. And I said, wouldn't that be grand, the interconnectivity of all these cities? And do you think we'll ever see that? Well, we both pray maybe we will. So as we march forward to this, addressing our bicycle master plan, please keep in mind that there are 4 different types of classes of bicycle paths. One of the best ones is Class 1. We have one of those, and that is the Arroyo. This city is just woefully in need of a very serious bicycle master plan. When I read the Acorn Sunday I was supposed to leave to go skiing, and I was so bothered by what I read because we're going to talk about the bicycles and the scooters on the sidewalks. And oh my God, I was one of those guys. All summer long, I rode around town towing my sign, vote for Mike, and it's scary out there. 2 of our 3 high schools are on Cochrane. Cochrane does not even have a bicycle classification. You're not even supposed to be on the street. We have 2 high schools. How are these kids supposed to get to school? So my red light's gone. So instead of let's come up with a law and that and get these guys to go right up to little kids. How about let's really address our bicycle master plan, put some infrastructure in so these kids can, all of us can have a place to ride and be safe. And a little white line doesn't do it. All right, now I hope I get an answer to the question I asked, and I'll see you guys in a couple of weeks. Thanks.
The next three speakers are Donna Smith, Edgardo Rivas, and Joe Pachowski.
Hello, good evening, everybody. Let me put my glasses on. My name is Donna Smith, and I am president of the Kiwanis Club of Simi Valley. In light of the tragic results of these recent wildfires, our club, along with many others, have been wondering if the city had a plan to assist our neighboring cities, and if not, what can we do to get things in motion? The presidents of our Simi nonprofit organizations corresponded yesterday and got together today to develop a plan to join forces to put our skills and our passion of helping others to good use. As service clubs, we share the common goal of helping those in need, and this is generally done through our own events to raise funds for our own projects to assist those in our own community. This time, our plan is not to raise funds for Simi Valley, but rather to create an avenue for our community to come together to help support our friends outside of Simi who are in tremendous need. Our task force will be composed of any and all nonprofits in Simi Valley. As of now, Simi Valley Kiwanis, Rotary, the Chamber, the International City of Peace Organization, the Community Council, the Seroptimists, the Interfaith Community Council, 99 One the Ranch radio station, possibly the Elks Lodge. We've reached out to other organizations and are waiting to hear back. And if a city representative would like to join us, we'd love to have you to share your insight. All of these folks are on board and we're ready to go. So here's our plan. Since requests for donations from fire relief agencies are ever changing, we felt it best at this time to have a collection for gift cards to supermarkets, clothing stores, drugstores, gas stations, Home Depot, Lowe's, restaurants, anything that will provide the fire victims with what they might need and can purchase on their own. We will set up dates and times to have people drop off their gift card donation at 99 One the Ranch radio station, who has graciously agreed to assist in any way possible. We will also have drop-off locations at businesses on the east end of Simi, central Simi, and west end of Simi. And if we hear that fire relief agencies are in need of clothing and/or other items, we have Macy's East on board as a potential drop-off location. There are a lot of scammers out there trying to take advantage of the kindness and generosity of those wanting to help, but we are all reputable organizations, and we want our Simi Valley residents to know that they can trust that their donations will be given to the proper agencies in the areas of most need. Final details have yet to be ironed out, but we plan on implementing this joint project as soon as possible. Once we have a plan in place, 99 One the Ranch and the Acorn will help us get the word out. But for now, if anyone's interested, the chamber is available if you could call and visit there. Since this project is ongoing, there's no end in sight, so we have no ending date planned. We thank the City Council for listening to our proposal, and we are proud to be representing Simi Valley in our efforts to help the victims of these terrible fires. It may be a small contribution in comparison to their needs, but we hope that our love and compassion will shine through to our neighbors and let them know that we have friends in our city who truly care. Thank you. Did I go over?
Edgardo Rivas.
Good evening, Mr. Rhodes. My full name is Edgardo Rivas Frati. The Frati means that we enforce our local laws and churches' laws also. That's what the FRATTI stands for, and Rivas means people that settle by the river in English. Okay, now, I was here 11 months ago. I haven't been to a meeting at all, but I'm experiencing where I live, which Mr. Rhodes, Mr. Judge knows, that the houses in the United States are made by 2x4s. And when you're upstairs, you're only 5 inches from your neighbor upstairs. Okay, but I've been experiencing, I haven't been here for 11 months. I'm experiencing the cartels and drugs where I live. And what a coincidence that I live 5 inches apart from these individuals. So, Mr. Judge, you were at LAPD. I met Mr. Rhodes one-on-one once. I want to thank you. But something's got to be done. I have called the police department since March the 16th. They have not done anything about it. I keep calling, but they're not able to control the cartels and the drugs. I'm a Vietnam veteran and Salvadorian veteran, active war veteran. Hey, I'm willing to go to Mexico and fight the cartels, but I'm too old. I'm 70 years old. Okay, and what a coincidence that this area is where I had problems. Ms. Lester is the lady in charge of this area, but she cannot control the drugs. I'm looking at Mr. Rhodes, Mr. Judge, and I've never met this gentleman in 11 months. He took over, but the job from the city is not being done correctly. I've been told, Mr. Rhodes, Mr. Judge, Mayor, and I never met this lady here, Ms. Argaret, but I have called her office plenty of times to complain about the drugs. In reality, I'm Simi Valley. We're experiencing cartels and drugs. I've been told by the police department that these individuals are only traveling people, but 10 of their trucks are worth over $100,000 each truck. I can't afford that. They all have different license plates. I have witnessed with my day caretaker and 3 other individuals that didn't want to come here, but here I am by myself. I have witnessed people, there's cartels bringing drugs in and bringing illegal people from the border.
Mr. Rivas, your time is up. Can you
Okay,
wrap
I'll be
it?
here next week.
All right, thank you.
Not next week, I'll be here in 2 weeks.
All right, thank you.
Can I call you Mr. Rhodes? Thank you. How about you, Mr. Judge? Sure. Thank you, sir.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem Kavanaugh, council members Litster, Judge, and Rhodes. It's been a while since I've been up here. Since I was here last, I won an election. So I want to make sure that it's clear to everyone, both here in the room and on TV. I'm here tonight in my capacity as a private citizen. During the recent mountain fire, my wife and I lost power for a full 24 hours due to a public safety power shutoff. Over the past week, we've been fortunate that our home in Wood Ranch has not been subject to another one of these miserable events. At the same time, I've been reading report after report from both Simi Valley residents as well as Ventura County residents in nearby cities about their power going out for even longer. These PSPS events are certainly not new to Simi or Ventura County. We've been having them intermittently for years. I remember former Mayor Mashburn being very frustrated when these events first started. So here we are years later, and it doesn't seem like there's been any progress made towards a long-term solution to permanently end these events. It seems that one of the only long-term solutions to ensure a constant supply of power is delivered from SCE is to bury the high voltage lines which bring power into our city. Surely a company which turned a profit of $1.5 billion last year can afford to undertake such a project. In fact, It seems that this would be a win-win for everybody. It would be a win for our residents, who wouldn't have to endure these shutoffs any longer. It would be a win for our city, because our city council would stop hearing from residents complaining about these events. Most importantly, it would be a win for SCE, as burying high voltage lines would significantly reduce or even eliminate their legal liability and ultimately ensure their profits for the long term once the investment's been made to bury the lines. In the last legislative session, there was a bill to exempt burying power lines from the California Environmental Quality Act. The bill was SB 1003. And by eliminating that requirement, it should make it more cost-effective for a company like SCE to encourage to do so. That bill failed last session, but there's a good chance that it's going to be coming back up again this session, so I want to encourage the city to support similar legislation this session. At the same time, another option has emerged over the weekend from County Supervisor Jeff Gurrell. Supervisor Gurrell intends to request county staff to start the process to explore the feasibility of establishing a not-for-profit municipal utility district for Ventura County. It would provide a public alternative to SCE and address concerns about their ongoing service reliability, lack of communication, and limited transparency. I'm not necessarily in favor of a government-owned utility, mostly because I'm concerned it would have the efficiency of the post office and the compassion of the IRS. But the idea of a not-for-profit entity sounds pretty appealing, with the caveat that the person in charge isn't making $750,000 a year, like the head of LADWP, who failed to make sure that a particular reservoir was not drained. So I just want to encourage you guys to do something, because something needs to be done to stop this madness once and for all. Thanks. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Kavanaugh, members of the City Council, that was the last speaker. And next on the agenda is item 4A, City Council comments regarding public statements.
Thank you. Do I have anyone wishing to make comments? I'm not getting in the queue. There we go. Councilmember Judge.
Thank you. Just real quick on the food vendors. When I said that this food vendor situation was decriminalized, that was by the state, not by the city. We do enforce county health ordinances on all food vendors in our city. So all I can do to the citizenry out there is tell them, if you see a food vendor that's selling food on our streets, call the police. The police will come out and check for their health permits. If they don't have them, they'll tell them to shut down. They have to have county health permits. Even the state of California requires that. So if they don't have the proper county health permits, they can't operate. But they have to be called on. It's not something, our police can't be everywhere. We're shorthanded and they don't see everything. So if you see something like that, call the non-emergency line for the police department and let them know. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes, the Elks Lodge is taking up collections for all the fire victims right now. So if you have any kind of items, new items like bedding, towels, toiletries, you can drop those off also at the Elks Lodge, and we have a place for them. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Rhodes.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Mr. Hanson, on the food vendors, I will say there's a nuance to the laws on food vehicles, like the food trucks, the taco trucks, the things that go around, and they have to be licensed by the county, and they have permission to park in certain areas for a certain amount of time, and that is actually, in fact, legal. If they're over a certain amount of time, then steps can be taken. I happen to have, I started my business in a vehicle, and you have to have agreements of restrooms nearby, and there's a lot of things you have to jump through, but if you do jump through those things, you can be legal. If they're just setting up shop and staying there, parked there, that's another issue, and it can be addressed. Mr. Shaw, can't have dialogue with things, so I'm probably not going to address your first question here at the dais. But I am also with you. I want to see a great bicycle master plan, and I'm looking forward to that presentation. And once we have the plan, that's when we start to look at what actions do we want to take based on that plan. So that's a blueprint presented to us, not necessarily the end product. So thank you for your input on that, and we'll see what we can do for you. The city of Simi Valley and our ability for our nonprofit groups, or charity groups to come together in times like this is absolutely freaking amazing, and that's an idea that I hadn't thought of yet. Many of us are involved in Rotary, and I didn't necessarily hear Rotary on your list, but okay. So our Noontime Club board meeting is tomorrow. We can bring that forward as well. I know in our club, because there's a club everywhere, that we often get donations and deliver directly into a club in the areas, but I love this idea, and it just proves why Simi Valley is an awesome place to be. So well done. And Mr. Pachowski, your frustration on PSPS events is well noted, empathized with. I'll report a little bit later about a call with Edison that I actually learned a couple of new things about these events, but I will tell you that there were a couple hundred elected officials, and no one was shy about letting Edison know how they felt with their constituents being locked in elevators and medicines going bad and classrooms in the dark and that sort of thing. So your frustration, well, well met. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Councilmember Lister?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Kavanaugh. Just in order of addressing Mr. Hanson, as far as your frustration at Stargaze, I want you to know I drove that coming from Camarillo, and you are absolutely right that that is a scary, unmarked, when it's dark, when it powers out, I could see something very serious happening. We will have some discussion later, but I know in 10B I'm going to have I want to provide some suggestion of ways to maybe work on our traffic lighting situation, because we don't want, certainly we want it safe as it can be, and what I have found is that certainly in your bigger intersections with the yellow reflective squares, if everything was like that, for instance at Stargaze, I think that would go a long ways to help at least that intersection. So hopefully there'll be some more discussion about that, but thank you for being here to register your concerns. Mike, Mr. Shaw, thank you for your bicycle discussion, and we are blessed that we can bike on the Arroyo. That I was there last weekend myself, Saturday morning, it was lovely. My thought as you were speaking, and yes, there has been discussion about taking all the way to the beach. We just discussed about what entities we're part of. I'm fortunate to be part of VCOG, the Ventura Council of Governments, and I think that would be a topic that would be a good place there to discuss how to encourage that pathway through our county. So I will continue the dialogue there. So thank you for that reminder. Donna Smith, you do wonderful things for Kiwanis. It's been fun to interact with you, and this is a brilliant idea. And people have asked me, what can we do? And I have felt a little stymied, and this is the perfect solution. And I know that you suggested that maybe we have a city participant, whether it be an elected person, whether it be a city employee, et cetera. I believe that's what I heard in your request, and so I would love to have that conversation later with our city manager, or maybe later on the dais, whether who it could be. I personally would support either option, because I could see great value in the city being a partner. Great discussion, great idea. And yes, Mr. Pachowski, congratulations on your election. We appreciate you being here as a citizen. We will be speaking a lot more about SCE, I'm sure, throughout today and also in coming future. The reality is that they are a monopoly that has control, and they have passed all of their liability to the consumer and taken it away from themselves, and the net effect has been hardships all over the place. And so it is going to take state action to immediately resolve it. As you mentioned about the SB 1003, there'll be further conversation, but I'm hoping that based on the calls that I heard yesterday, that the state is at the point that they will have to take action, because it's untenable. And so we'll be speaking more about it, but thank you for your comments. And it would be great if we could bury all the lines, and maybe that's, we'll see where all that goes. Anyway, but thank you for being here and your discussions. Appreciate all of you.
Thank you. I could just say ditto to everything they've said, pretty much. The PSPS traffic lights, they are horrible. I drive back and forth to Westlake Village, And so Madera is very scary. I saw a bunch of cars go right through. But the minute you at least get one person to stop, it kind of starts a chain reaction. So be that person stopping. Just kind of, that helps. And you're right, people do not know how to do, can we have a class in how to work a four-way stop? I just get so frustrated. My exchange student she can tell me how to do it now because I gripe about it every time I'm at a four-way stop. People just forget how to move forward. Today in front of Sinaloa, two young ladies were trying to cross the street and nobody was letting them across the street because there's that light there. And it took the other side and then my side to actually stop finally to let the young ladies go across. So yeah, we don't drive well here. But our police department is going to take care of that. They're starting to watch us more and more, aren't they? It was really fun. I turned around at the light in front of the school the other day, and one of our motors was sitting there, and I'm like, good going, way to be there. So, Nikki, it's always great to see you from Brain Train, or did you? There she is, yes. You guys do a great job, so it's always a lot of fun to see you guys here. And thank you. You didn't have to bring out your whole crowd. That's kind of windy and cold for them, but we respect them and miss them, so tell them hello. Mike, you're always wonderful, so thank you. I think the bike plan, master plan will be a good thing. I know we've tried to do that in the past, and it kind of gets pushed aside sometimes. And so I think we just maybe need to get more of a focus on that. And all the way to the beach, when I sat on the park board and the city worked on that arroyo and together, and a lot of it was done with grants. So we can continue to do that all the way out to the beach. So park board might not like me volunteering them, but they do a good job of it, so might as well let them do it. And yes, Kiwanis, thank you, Ms. Smith, bringing all the nonprofits together. Great idea, including our faith-based community. Our faith-based community is also awesome. So getting all those people together is just fantastic. We will do great things. I can already see it happening. And then, Joe, congratulations on your win. Yesterday on our call with the electeds, somebody asked what the profits were for SCE, and they brushed it off. They said, what were your profits in 2021 and 22 and 23? Oh, I don't have that. I don't know. And they just went on to the next thing. So the $1.5 billion kind of rings, gets to you a little bit when you're hearing that. So I know there are other things in that go with that, stockholders and all that type of stuff. But still, it's scary when one public utility can do this, what they've been doing, and putting this many people at risk. With them off as well as with them on. So the last time we had this happen, when Mayor Mashburn, we actually had a call with the Public Utilities Commission. They read our letter from the city of Simi Valley, the chair did, but nothing's happened since then. So everyone needs to reach out to them and flood them. I think that's really the only way we're going to get across is in the mass and do something about it. SCE's had all that time, and all they've done is, quote, look at the lines. Have they been burying them? So those are the questions I think we need to ask. I know our city manager has plans, and she'll be sharing some of that with us very soon. We have a lot of strong electeds in this county, and our county CEOs, is she taking the lead on this a little bit? Yeah, Savette Johnson, she's doing a great job. So we as a county and all the cities are going to get together and see if we can have a little bit more oomph than we can individually. So thank you all for coming out here tonight. All right, next.
Mayor Pro Tem Kavanaugh and members of the City Council, next on the agenda is item 7, the consent calendar, and there are 2 resolutions for your consideration this evening. Consent item 2, resolution number 2025-01, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Simi Valley formalizing delegation of duties related to the city's 457B deferred compensation plan and 401K plan. And consent item 3, resolution number 2025-02, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Simi Valley authorizing execution of the subordination agreement, regulatory agreement only with Harmony Simi Valley ARLP for the Harmony Terrace Apartments.
Thank you. Councilmember Litzter.
Actually, that's old in queue, but I will move that we pass and accept all 3 consent items.
Second.
You notice those seconds come really fast. Okay. Call for the vote. Thank you.
The motion passes unanimously. Mayor Pro Tem Kavanaugh and members of the City Council, next on the agenda is item 9A, selection of recipients to receive 2025 Special Event Support Program grants, and authorize the city manager to execute grant contracts with recipients. And Senior Management Analyst Heidi DiNardo is here to present this item.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem Kavanaugh, members of the City Council. Tonight, I will present a little history on the Special Event Support Program and show the recommendations provided by the 2025 Special Event Support Review Committee. A little background, in 2014, the City Council adopted a policy, A31, for city support of special events and associated grant program, budgeting $25,000 annually from the general fund. City Council awards these funds to organizations who meet specific qualifications, such as being recognized by the IRS as a nonprofit, and who have agreed to provide a report to the city describing how the proceeds from the event were distributed. Applications are reviewed by an annually appointed City Council committee comprised of one representative from each of the four neighborhood neighborhood councils and one representative from Council on Aging. The committee's role is to allocate $25,000 based on community benefits and local impact. 2 public meetings are held, and each applicant gives presentations before the committee makes its final recommendation. Since inception of this program, the city averages 7 requests per year of funding. This year, due to increased outreach to prior special event applicants, social media posts, and a news item, the city received 12 applications seeking $83,425 in special event support. The committee received all direction, the administrative policy, and all applications during the public meeting on December 11th. The second public meeting was held on December 18th, 2024. After hearing public statements, listening to presentations, and asking detailed questions of the applicants, the committee had the difficult task of allocating $25,000 in grant funds. The committee was directed to incorporate preferences based on the direction of City Council to fund events where proceeds are used locally within Simi Valley and to fund events with greater community public benefits over events with lesser community public benefits. The committee is recommending City Council consider funding to all of the nonprofits. This slide here provides a list of the 12 applicants, the name of the proposed special event, the requested amount of support by the applicant, and the recommended amount by the committee. Staff is seeking direction on how to proceed with the committee's recommendations, and I'm available if you have any questions.
Thank you. This is always one of the hardest committees to sit on in the city. So do I have any comments from Councilmember Litzter?
I'm delighted that all were found worthy of some funds and that you found that the committee found a way to distribute. So is that my understanding? All of the 12 received some
That is correct.
type of award, and I appreciate that. I did have a question in terms of allocation. Is the amount based, in your opinion, having sat there, based on the number of participants that participate in the end result? Is it, or is there different criteria? What would you say is the most
In my
important criteria?
opinion, in looking at the policy and looking back from how it started with the request by City Council in 2013, it was an ad hoc committee in 2014. Although the ad hoc committee had several suggestions, and there were the option of, to fund some events that had a higher level of participation, as opposed to let's fund the special events that cost the most. Let's fund the ones that have the highest level of police funding services that would cost. Actually, the City Council chose to reduce the amount of requirements of the committee to follow. So although we have those 2 statements within the policy that say to fund greater community benefits as opposed to lesser, this particular committee took into account that although some of these special events do not have a large number of participants, the community benefit is outweighing some of just being at that one special event. I'll use Body Brain Train, for example. Body Brain Train for this committee was the first suggestion across the board that no matter what, this committee wanted to fund them what they requested. Then they went through and tried to go through, well, we really should go by the largest. So it could be something we have discussed with the city manager, possibly further clarification or direction on what the city council would like to see for this funding.
That makes sense. And I'm not unhappy in any way with the allocation. It was just a curiosity because I realized that some of the events we're helping to fund are fundraising events. A lot of, I mean, as I look at the list, half of them are to help entities raise more funds with the money we help, et cetera. And some of them are, shall we say, entertainment end result, engage the community in a fun special event, and which is a little bit different than a big fundraiser. So I'm not saying that we should do anything different. It was just a curiosity what the criteria. And so I guess I like the thought that
they did
we leave it
lean
to the
towards
committee's discretion.
larger events. They did lean towards larger events. However, there were smaller events that they had gone, several of the committee members had gone to last year. They're like, oh, I went to that and it was great. And it was this much smaller event that didn't have the same amount of sponsorship that some of the other.
Well, and it's funny, I think as I read through the list too, I think if I attended it, I had definite feelings, yay or nay, about, oh yes, they should have had more money or not.
They did feel it wasn't at their discretion to eliminate anyone from getting funding. They're like, these are all worthwhile special events, and I do think everyone should receive funding. That was the committee's overall understanding or perception.
Interesting.
There's really no right or wrong.
No,
on
there
this.
isn't. There isn't.
And each year, a different committee selects, so you get different thought processes. So it's really a win-win, in my opinion, for everybody, other than we could maybe give more money. But I don't know where the city manager can find that in the budget. Well, look, we'll talk about that later. Okay. Any other comments? Any questions?
I just wanted to thank the committees. We sort of do this crowdsourcing for information to say, get us the right answer, and we have the people that are actually out in the communities that are, in the neighborhood councils and council on aging, making these very difficult decisions and making the recommendations to us anyway. And I appreciate that hard work.
They were great.
And I guess I would say one more comment too. I'm looking at the requested amounts. Obviously, the recommended amounts not always in line with the request amounts. And I don't know that those request amounts, though, were not appropriate either. For instance, I was thinking, I did attend the Simi Valley YMCA Fall Festival and Trunk or Treat. There were so many participants that participated there. So much was given out, so much was done. I could see that truly the expense would have been huge for that event. That was just done and free of charge. A lot of these events, they charge attendees. That one, all.
That's a common question the committee asks. Is there a fee to attend the event?
Interesting.
Sometimes that does weigh into their.
I'm guessing that, yes, but wasn't necessarily in this time.
It's not the direction of council at this time under the policy to make that change the discretion of how they allocate the funds.
I'm happy to make a motion if we're.
Any other questions? Yes, thank you.
I move to adopt the recommendation of the Special Events Support Review Committee to award the 2025 Special Events Support Program grants and authorize the city manager to execute grant contracts with the recipients.
I'll second it.
The motion passes unanimously.
Congratulations to our nonprofits in the lobby. Thank you for coming out tonight. Since Kathy left, tell her the chamber didn't get anything, and then see what she says. No, you all do a great job, so I'm so happy that we're able to do this. So thank you all for all of you, that you do also.
Mayor Pro Tem Kavanaugh, members of the City Council, next on the agenda is item 10A, City Council member reports.
All right. Councilmember Rhodes, I believe you're first up for this.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Short and sweet. Since our last meeting, during our last meeting, I was in China, and I come back. I spent 2 days in town before going on a family vacation. Returning on Monday, January 6th, Councilwoman Litster and I We did the Neighborhood Council 3 and 4 interviews here in the boardroom. And on Thursday, January 9th, in conjunction with the Chamber of Commerce, we did a C-level meeting with Gillibrand Industrial, also Gillibrand Cattle Company. And then just yesterday, I attended a Zoom call for Southern Cal Edison, trying to explain all the things that are not working well, and yes, we know it, and we'll do better, and it was an interesting discussion. I will say, in conjunction with fire, I also made one other phone call, and that was on Friday, January 10th, to Kome Ajise, the CEO of SCAG, Southern California Association of Governments, with the recommendation that being an entity that does think tanking for legislation on how can we rebuild faster? What things can we get out of the way, like Coastal Commission, like other things, and what are some best practices? And I even inquired of our city manager, if it weren't Palisades, but it was Simi Valley, what would we be trying to do to get out of the way so that building can happen? And I'm pleased to inform that the February agenda for SCAG is being amended to have more of these type of discussions, and they already have a committee internally that's working on trying to come up with those solutions. So that was nothing to do with Edison and that fiasco, but how to expedite and make less of a hassle rebuilding. And that is the end of my report.
Thank you, Councilmember Rhodes. Councilmember Litzler.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Kavanaugh. On Tuesday, December the 17th, I am pleased to say that I attended Ventura County College District's board meeting, and I believe there to recognize our Mr. Joe Piechowski as he was sworn in officially in his first day of capacity, and of course to thank Bernardo Perez also for his service, but it was very monumental victory for Mr. Piechowski, and I know he will represent us well there. That was kind of that week. The rest was just lots of harp, lots of festive Christmas holiday things. Anyway, but then into Sunday, December 29th, had the opportunity to attend the public menorah lighting that took place at the Reagan Library with Councilmember Mike Judge. And it was really a lovely event. Second time that I think we were there together last year for that event. What was Rabbi Noson Garani, I hope I'm saying his name correctly, did a very nice job. But one of the things he mentioned that I didn't realize that it was also the 50-year anniversary of an outdoor menorah lighting ceremony, and that it was so very poignant that it was that it's only been 50 years that such an events have taken place in our community. And so, anyway, it was a very nice event that took place there on the 29th. And what's nice too is that, of course, this year Christmas and Hanukkah coincided started on the same date, and that's always fun when everyone is celebrating together. Take you into wonderful Christmas, wonderful New Year's. It was actually kind of nice to have some time with family and friends. But let me take you into then January 6th. It was very nice to interview candidates with Councilmember Rhodes. Also, all very good candidates. They were all out, very, very qualified and very good. Our city is in good hands. On Wednesday, January the 8th, I attended a very brief Simi Valley Veterans Foundation Zoom meeting. I mentioned that because as this council may remember, initially there were other members of this council who would attend that meeting, and then that changed, and then it became Councilmember Kavanaugh and myself, and then they started a foundation, and anyway, it was an interesting evolution. But I shared this meeting because they've taken a hiatus for a while, and they're hoping to re-energize this. And if there are any veterans, anybody who is interested in the cause of Simi Valley veterans, now's the time to step forward. They'd love your involvement with this foundation. They're going to be meeting again on Wednesday. Feel free to reach out to me, and I'd be happy to give you information, because it would be nice to have all of our branches of the military represented and all of our veterans organizations there. Thursday, January 9th, attended the Chamber Economic Development meeting that was held up at the ranch at the Simi Town Center. Jason got some of Steer Point Financial presented on their vision for the town center. Again, it'll be interesting to see where all of that goes, but it was a good meeting, and I thank the Chamber for making that happen, putting that together. Also, right afterwards, then I attended the Town Center Mall marketing meeting. And I will tell you, a vibrant group of business owners are there at the Town Center. And so lots of ideas, lots of events happening. They're a bit of an anomaly. In fact, I've talked about how most malls, town centers, don't have such a cohesive group of owners, but we have that, and they are really committed to making that a vibrant place. And then that afternoon, I also attended the VCOG's meeting, their semi-monthly, anyway, whatever it is, every other month meeting. And I actually ended up chairing that meeting because the current chair was, who was supposed to be appointed that day, was under the weather, and I was as close as they could get to someone who'd been there as past chair 2 years ago. So somehow I was able to chair that meeting, but I wanted to mention that Chris Annegren now will be the current chair, and we elected at the meeting David Tennyson of Camarillo as the vice chair or chair-elect. So that will be the administration going forward. I wanted to share just a little bit of what the presentation was because it's germane to us. Racole Kelly, who is with the district attorney's office, used to be strictly over domestic violence. She's now does that as well in the new family justice centers, and so she represents there, works in the family justice centers. But she also spoke about gun violence restraining orders, which were a bit new to me. I gather that they've been in existence since about 2016, where there was one filing for that. Now in 2024, there were 60 applications. But you've heard of domestic restraining orders. These are basically restraining orders for someone who who has access to some type of a weapon, a gun, and there's concern by family members or maybe a teacher or someone that they are mentally not in a good position with that. And so it was just very interesting to know that that existed, and I'm sure someday, I'm sure obviously our police department is very aware, but I wanted fellow council members to be aware of that tool that they have at their disposal. We also had a presentation by the Forensic Examiners Program, and one of the statistics that I found a little disturbing that I wasn't aware, I knew that there was a backlog on rape kits, but I didn't realize that there's currently over 2,400 kits awaiting testing. 415 have been tested recently, and they want to be sure current things are tested. But anyway, there was a grant received to help whittle that down. But I'm sure that it's awareness we should be aware of and help in that. I think it's important that we do what we can to support that being all of those kits being processed and tested. So anyway, so that was what I learned on at VCOG. On Sunday, I want to make sure I'm sorry. On Sunday, January 12th, I did have. I will say that I attended the coronation, and literally it was a coronation. They put a laurel crown on her for the fourth poet. Ventura County fourth Poet Laureate. And so it's a 2-year position, and basically it's our official poet for the county. Her name is Mary Ann McFadden, and she was installed at the Ventura County their museum. But one of the reasons I wanted to be sure to attend is because as I read her biography, she is from Simi Valley. Her childhood was in Simi Valley. She describes running in this, her father worked in the citrus groves. She was a child before we were a city, I should say, but some of her poetry is very, speaks to her childhood here in Simi Valley, and then she lost her father in World War II and ended up in Fillmore, where she was raised, went to school, etc. So she has roots in the county, but I think that we would do well to have her come speak to her memories, and so I wanted people to be aware of Mary Ann McFadden. I also attended that SoCal Edison meeting. It was quite an interesting meeting. I was in the queue to ask my question right when they shut it off. I was next in line in case, but I was, did you see my hand up? I was next in line. I had my question ready, and they said, time is up. But at that point, it had devolved into whoever could be loudest in speaking. So I thought, okay, I will let them express the frustration that I wanted to express. But it was, I do think that there will be, I just can't see how things can stay the way they are, given the level of angst that is being expressed. Today, I got to attend the Council on Aging with Councilmember Mike Judge. They announced the Mike Templeton Award, and 4 new Council on Aging members were elected, and we'll get their names and celebrate them, I think, in an upcoming council meeting, so I'll look forward to that. I want to conclude by expressing my heartfelt concern for certainly those who've lost homes with fire, but closer to home, those who have experienced tremendous loss because of these public safety power shutoffs. They have been really untenable, and so many people have lost more than just food, medicines, and livelihoods, and it really is, as I sat and had the meeting with my little office today in the dark, knowing that I was sending people home who want to be paid, and we're discussing when they can come back. So anyway, it's hard, and we need to do something about it. So, and we're here, and we will be doing something about it. So that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Judge.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I'll start out by saying I hope everyone had a great Christmas and a great Hanukkah and a Happy New Year. In my household, we celebrate both Hanukkah and Christmas, so I was very honored to be able to speak at the menorah lighting at the Reagan Library. Like Councilmember Lister said, it's the second year in a row we've done that. I hope it keeps going on. It's a great thing, and it's a good tradition, and everybody there has a great time. And luckily, the winds weren't blowing, so it was a nice night, actually. On, here we go. January 8th, myself and Mayor Pro Tem Kavanaugh did neighborhood council interviews for neighborhood councils 1 and 2. On neighborhood council 2, everybody was appointed. All of the candidates were fantastic. Number 1 only had 3 available spots. If we had the option, we would have put them all on because they were all great candidates. Luckily for number 2, I was able to put all of them on there. So we got all the people on number 2. On January 9th, I attended the C-level meeting with the Chamber of Commerce over at Gillibrand Industrial Sands headquarters, and they are related to the Gillibrand Cattle Company. They were owned by the same people, and even though the cattle company does great work for our nonprofits and giving away the food to our seniors and stuff, Gillibrand Industries has been a good partner with the city of Simi Valley. So I was happy to visit with them and hear about their plans and their growth and all the stuff, good stuff happening for them. On Friday, January 10th, I attended the Ventura County Transportation Committee meeting, and we discussed a few things. Wasn't too much specifically related to Simi Valley. Of course, we were all centered around the horrific fires that have been going on. And let me just take a second to talk about PSPSs. Those have been going on since if everybody remembers, the Paradise Fire. So after Paradise happened, PSPSs happened. And I personally think there's no excuse for this. After all this time, Edison should at least have half their stuff together and have something to say to cities when this goes on, and they don't. So the only way we're going to get this fixed, our city, trust me, is going to do its due diligence, but again, cities write letters, cities hit lobbyists up, cities do stuff like that. It takes the citizens to get a hold of their state representatives because they're the ones that have to make this change up in Sacramento. We need citizens to contact your state senator, your state assembly person, and let them know how frustrated you are, and this has to stop. Edison has to find another way to do this and be safer with it, because, you know, it's tough living under a monopoly, but we have to be able to have some kind of voice in this, and it's crazy to shut somebody's power off for 4 days when just across the street their power never goes off. You can't explain that to citizens when they complain, and it's really hard on, and I'm not saying it's hard on me, I'm just saying it's hard for me to look at somebody and say, yes, I understand, but there's nothing we can really do right now. That is more frustrating than anything I've ever had experience in my life, because trust me, I was a cop for 31 years, and I hated doing it when I was a cop, and I hate doing it now. So I'm asking the citizens out there, if you have the opportunity, contact your state assemblyman, your state senator, and let them know your frustration, just like you let us know, because they need to be Meriwether, and then changes will come from Sacramento, because Sacramento is the one that allowed them to do this in the first place. So that's my rant, and that's about it. Thank you. That's my report.
Thank you, Councilmember Judge. Your rant was a little nicer than some of the ones we heard on the call yesterday. Okay, so on Thursday, December 19th, I actually met with our Assembly members, District Director, our Assembly members, Jackie Irwin. I met with Ryan Valencia. He wanted to know if I had any concerns, what's going on in our community. So we can reach out to Assembly member Jackie Irwin as well as Senator Henry Stern in regards to these PSPS events, as Councilmember Judge said. I hope everyone had a happy holiday. There's a lot of empty pages on my calendar here. But with the holidays falling on the Wednesday of each week, it seemed like the whole week was a holiday. It was kind of an odd situation. So I had the pleasure of taking my exchange student to a couple different places. Well, this is a little side note. We actually went to the Getty Villa on Saturday the 4th. And then 3 days later, we're seeing the fire go up the wall. And I said, that's where we were on Saturday. So it was just very, very eye-opening, and it just brought it close to home. To see that that's where it was. And then we drove down the street and we went to Duke's for dinner instead of Moonshadow. I wish we would have gone to Moonshadows now that one's gone, but just devastating, as we all know. On Wednesday, January 8th, yes, I had the pleasure of doing Neighborhood Council 1 and 2 interviews with Councilmember Judge. We finished on time. We did a great job. We stayed right on track and got everyone through there. And he is correct. Everybody that interviewed was a keeper, and it was very hard to select 3 out of the 9, I think maybe, that we had for District 1. But I like to always reiterate to people, if you don't get selected this time, do it again and do other things available within the city, because we love our volunteers and we do a great job, and they do a great job for us. And then I attended the call yesterday with SCE. They gave some details that maybe weren't out there to us yet, but the majority of it was just talk. There was no action. There was no plan of action. It was just talk, and talk doesn't help people when their refrigerators aren't on and when their lights aren't on. So again, like Councilmember Judge said, and I think all the rest of us are saying, we will do everything we can, but we as individuals also need to reach out to our state legislatures and tell them, we're done. We can't do this anymore. We're done. We don't want to put up with it anymore. So that's the end of my comments. The saddest part of our meetings is when we have to adjourn in memory of. I'm sorry, I'm 10B. I'm getting ahead of myself. Item 10B, City Clerk Blanco, correct? Okay, sorry. I'm used to her keeping us in line. So item 10B. Any additional items for our agenda that you would like to propose? Councilmember Litzter?
I do have actually several, which is, I'm sorry, but the first one is directly related to the public safety power shutoffs. Our main intersections now have the reflective, for the most part, have the reflective around the stoplights. And as I was out driving this past week, huge difference it appeared in responding to those reflective lights, those that did not. For instance, I was on Royal Wednesday evening, and I almost flew through one. I just didn't see, and I stopped in time. But it was obviously it was in the major intersection, so it was very hard to see. And then I came at the major intersection, not a problem. How could we consider adding that to all of our traffic lights? Is that really expensive, or could you maybe give us some pricing on doing that?
Well, funny you should ask. Staff actually applied for a grant for about $1 million to do the remaining 91 intersections in the reflective tape. So currently we have about 30 intersections that are covered, plus all of the intersections that were completed by Caltrans at the freeway on and off ramps. So each intersection is about $10,000 to do.
Wow.
Due to prevailing wage and labor costs. I said the same thing. So we hear back from the granting agency in mid-February-ish. We are in the budget process, and there are a number of items related to emergency preparedness that I'll be looking at as part of this process and will likely be engaging with the council on. So the total cost is over $1 million to do the remaining intersections, but the grant that we applied for is nearly $1 million. It's in the range of like $940,000, I believe. So we're hoping that we'll be receiving those grant funds. We'll find out next month. But that is something that staff has been proactively pursuing.
Very good. And in line of, in that as well, so you'll inform us how it goes there. As I was driving back from VCOG, which was, again, at nighttime, I'm coming through the county, when where they have street lights that were out, and traffic lights that were out, and there were quite a few, they have stop signs that are elevated up about 4 or 5 feet. So similar to what you might sign on the corner. Obviously, they were well sandbagged or whatever. They looked like, I don't know how expensive those are, but my thought was they seemed very effective. It was a crawl to get across, but people absolutely observed those. And my thought was that maybe we don't seem to use anything like that exactly. We're not talking mechanical. It literally was. It looked like someone had to roll it out on wheels, and it just sat there like a stop sign in the middle. And I don't know if we might just investigate what the county uses and how expensive on some. I know we're mindful of liability. I get that. But this seemed to work, obviously we're very concerned about safety, and this seemed like a very cost-effective way to immediately cause some safety to occur in intersections.
And we can do a memo to boxes on what the cost for that would be. There would be obviously the staff time involved in deploying all of those and then picking them back up, et cetera. But we can do a little bit of research on.
They just seem, and it's
those
lower, we're not
alternatives.
talking the lower,
Sure.
literally it was 5 feet up, but it seemed very,
Yeah.
and they put it in the middle, and okay.
And I agree, the reflective taping makes a major
difference, yeah.
Huge difference. So that's good to know that Public Works has already applied for that.
Thank you. So that was the first request. Second request is that I am just been very mindful as we've had the bird flu and cost of eggs as our grocery stores have been out of eggs. In fact, I was in Costco. I saw a run on eggs. Everyone was. Anyway, there was some unhappiness. It just seems, and I've read, I know we've had several special, basically we've had exceptions to allow people who've requested them as an emotional support animal, as health need to have, because they needed something that was pesticide-free, anyway, whatever reasons were given for, in my mind, raising a couple of hens or laying hens in a house should be like a cat or a dog. And I wonder if we might consider allowing, if someone wanted to have and I realize right now they're in just special overlays do we allow it, but just as we looked at beekeeping, whether we could possibly allow people, if they wanted to have a couple of chickens in their backyard that was fenced, that was in a roost, no roosters were allowed. I mean, we'd have all sorts of constraints but in my mind, I see, particularly given where price of eggs are through the roof, if you can find them. I just think that would be a responsible thing if people wanted to do that. And I confess, I have friends who I know who legally have little chicks in their backyard, but I'd like it to become a legal thing that they could have. So those are my thoughts. Is there anyone else that might feel inclined in any way to check out chickens?
I know we have a council member that has them, but you're in the correct overlay to have them.
And I guess maybe because I was raised in a rural area. Yeah, I come
We
from.
did a while ago, I think you were here, we amended the ordinance to allow it in a lot more places.
I thought we did too.
And staff can put together a memo to boxes on what is currently allowed and where it's currently allowed, if that would meet Councilman Berlitzer's request.
If I could, I'd like to see where, because in my mind, my impression is it's just the overlay area is just a very small percentage of our single-family homes. But if it's the vast majority, then that's totally fine. And I'm not looking for anything that would be disruptive. This is just about private rights of citizens for producing food in their backyard, like a garden.
All right, thank you. Any other? Thank you, Councilmember Judge.
Just real quick on the emergency stuff for the intersections. I'm all over putting the reflective tape on the signals themselves, but I'd also like to find out what the cost would be to maybe put some, I don't know, I don't really understand what the vehicle code is as far as colors on the highway. I know we put blue dots for the fire hydrants. Maybe we can put like yellow dots, maybe 3 per side on an intersection on both sides. So there'd be like 9 total for an intersection. No, it'd be 12, I'm sorry. Be 12, 3 on each side of both sides of the intersection, just yellow, something that when you approach the intersection, you see those dots, so it just, where the power's completely out, there's no stoplight, there's no street lights, and there's no signal, yes, people run those lights. And I saw it, especially when you're driving on the east end on Los Angeles Avenue, all the lights were off from Tapo Canyon all the way down to Cooner, and yeah, people just flew by me while I was slowing down for the intersection. And yeah, they should know better, but they can't see the intersection at night. It's hard to see. So maybe we could put something, I don't know what it would cost to put like dots on the ground, just something to reflect back to let people know there's something there. The things on the lights, the reflective tape on the lights would work great too, but sometimes, especially in the cell phone world we're in now, people just aren't paying attention. And they don't pay attention when the lights are on, so just got to make them more visible. I don't know how, and again, I'm worried about liability and of course costs, but we have to find a way to make those intersections safer in an emergency situation.
We can do memo to boxes on that too. When Public Works has been restriping intersections for crosswalks, et cetera, they've been using the more highly reflective paint, which does aid, but obviously we haven't done all of the intersections, and so that's only in some select areas. So that assists in some of those locations, but we could do a memo to boxes and kind of find out what would be involved in doing that.
I think that's an interesting idea, those little bot lights. So if they would be cost effective.
I had one more, if that, just a discussion.
Should we let her have one more? Okay.
Just, actually, it's come to my attention, Chiquita landfill has gone out of business. It's basically been closed down. That's a landfill that's up in Valencia. Our WM landfill is one of the closest to them, and guess where a lot they want, anyway. I know that our county has said 180 days is all you get to figure out your problem. I guess I'm just very mindful. I would love that we are on top of that and get a report of what it has mean in terms of increased usage of our landfill, and also when that 180 days is up, that truly has been monitored and we're not taking in excess waste. We want to take care of our own, I guess.
Absolutely. Staff had met with the county prior to Chiquita Canyon landfill going offline to get a better overview about what to anticipate. There will be increased truck traffic. They were also, though, very adamant that the 180 days would be held to, that there were no exceptions for any kind of extension. But we can obviously put a tickler on the calendar to make sure that that is true. I do have a call into our contact over at Waste Management to talk a little bit more about what to anticipate in terms of extra volume. The city receives a financial incentive due to the expansion of the landfill and the agreement that was made back in 2010-ish. And so I wanted to get a better feel from a financial perspective what we could be anticipating for that. So last week with the 3 fires that were at the landfill, it was not a great time to get that information, but we do have an ongoing dialogue, so I'll make a note to get something to you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. WM's usually pretty receptive to us, so that'll be good. Thank you.
On that note of the fire at the landfills, do not throw away your lithium batteries in the garbage, please.
Thank you, Councilmember Judges, for that one very good reminder. All right, as we go into an adjournment, I'd like to,
I
oh,
still
sorry.
had one. Mayor Pro Tem in queue. See, I know.
He is in the queue, but I have to push the button in queue.
There's a reason I moved.
So
He's not Mayor Pro Tem anymore, so.
the request I had is also with emergency response, and we've had a brief discussion about it, but larger generators for our systems, is there a need from council to authorize an expenditure of additional funds for larger generators to make sure that some of our critical facilities during these PSPS events don't go offline?
Thank you for asking the question. Staff is very proactive in ensuring that we have generator power to back up like our water tanks, et cetera, for the circumstances like that were discussed earlier, to ensure that there is sufficient power and pumping capacity to those water tanks in the event of a fire. In the events last week, there were a couple of items that came to my attention. And as we are going through this budget process, I will be having conversations with the Public Works Director, and also the police chief and I have already had some conversations about some other possibilities for emergency management grants, perhaps, that the city council, or I'm sorry, that the city can pursue to see what's available. But it's very likely that you might see some policy items included in the budget. And one of the things that I plan to bring to you during this budget process is a workshop with the council, so that you are involved in the budget process earlier than just approving the document. So stay tuned.
Excellent, thank you.
All right, before I go any further. Seeing none. All right, we will adjourn our meeting today in memory of former President Jimmy Carter, the victims of the New Orleans tragedy, Donna Lee Baldwin, she was our 2012 Community Volunteer of the Year, Riverside County Sheriff Tim Corlew, and Kenneth Witt, our Public Works Environmental Compliance Inspector. So thank you all. We're adjourned.